5 thousandths of a second. That's what separated Noah Lyles and Kishane Thompson in Paris. 9.784 versus 9.789. A blink inside a blink. On Saturday, the 16th of August in Silesia, they step into the same straightaway for the first time since that photo finish. A few days from now, 2 weeks before Zurich, 1 month before the World Championships in Tokyo. One race that Thompson arrives with the year's loudest opening 60 and a 9.75 at Jamaican Championships that felt like a starter's pistol aimed at the rest of the world. Form versus form, speed versus speed. No excuses in a cool European night. The stakes spill far past the medals stand. Silesia sets lane priority for the Diamond League final in Zurich on the 27th and 28th of August. Win here and you likely stand center stage there, which means cleaner reaction windows, fewer false start ripples, and the best look at sub 9.80 before Tokyo. Lose here and you are suddenly negotiating lane 2, a dead wind, and everyone else's momentum. That's not drama. That's how the calendar punishes second place. What makes this rematch irresistible is how perfectly their strengths collide. Thompson is a flamethrower out of the blocks, short contacts, violent shin angles, separation by 30 meters. Lyles is a boa constrictor in spikes, relaxed posture, rising hips, and that eerie unblinking surge from 60 to the tape. One dares you to panic early, the other dares you to panic late. Panic either way, and the stopwatch does not forgive. So here's the game we're going to play as you watch Silesia. Track one number in real time, the gap at 60 meters. If Thompson is up by more than 400ths at that mark, the lean belongs to Jamaica 9 times out of 10. If the gap is 200ths or less, Lyles' top speed window turns the last 40 into a coin toss he loves to win. No gimmicks, no guesswork. Just a single split that calls the race before the clock does. Start with the race in your head, split into 3 clean chunks. 0 to 40 meters, 40 to 60, and 60 to the tape. That's the whole story of Noah Lyles versus Kishane Thompson. Thompson is built to win the first chunk. Out of the blocks, he looks like a spring trap. Shin angles set, hips high, contacts short and violent. When he is right, he is already a half step up before most men finish their third stride. That early separation is not just distance, it is attacks on everyone else's composure. Sprinters feel gaps more than they see them, and feeling one that early is how a smooth start turns into a rushed one. If Thompson punches daylight before 40, he drags you into his race. Lyles is built to win the last chunk. His opening steps are crisp, not desperate. He spends the drive phase buying posture. Shoulders level, chin quiet, hips rising into full extension. The payoff hits when the track flattens under his feet around 60. That is where his stride looks longer without getting choppy, where his arms narrow and his face goes blank, and where every meter he runs feels slightly downhill. When he is right, the last 40 belongs to him, even if the first 40 did not. Now, the middle, 40 to 60, is the lever that decides everything. If Thompson's opening burst carries cleanly through this window, he hits top speed with the kind of momentum that resists decay. If Lyles keeps the gap there to the width of a forearm, his max velocity window opens and the race flips from chased to hunted. This is why we told you to watch that 60-meter gap. More than 400ths of a second at that mark favors the starter. 200ths or less favors the closer. In between, you are basically watching a coin spin on its edge. There are 2 cues you can trust in real time. First, look at knee lift at 50. Thompson's best races show a piston action that stays tall even as cadence spikes. If his knees are still punching high there, the early gap probably holds. Second, watch Lyles' shoulders at 70. If they are quiet, no tilt, no climb, and his jaw looks loose, he is about to float past world-class men like they ran into cooler air. That look is his tell. Conditions will nudge the scale without deciding it. A faint tailwind amplifies the starter's edge. Dead still air magnifies the value of relaxation and makes every tiny form leak cost double. Middle lanes usually feel calmer. Outer lanes can carry little cross breezes that sting tall runners in the last 20 meters. None of that changes who they are. It only turns their strength up or down a notch. Reaction matters, but not the way most fans think. A perfect reaction can buy Thompson 100th or 2 more of cushion at 10 meters, which multiplies by the time he hits 40. A merely good reaction from Lyles is fine, as long as his first 3 steps stay patient. He does not need to win step 1, he needs to win step 12. If you want a single, no-nonsense way to call the race as it happens, do this. Freeze your eye at the 60-meter hash. If Thompson is clearly ahead there, don't blink, he usually keeps it. If Lyles is already on his shoulder or closer, keep your eyes on his posture and wait for the lean. The clock will confirm what your gut already knew. Here's where races get decided before anyone moves. The variables nobody puts on a poster: lane, wind, reaction, and what Silesia means for Zurich. Lane first. Middle lanes are a calm pocket. They give you clear peripheral targets, steadier air, and less visual noise from the curve. Outside lanes feel faster, but lie to tall sprinters in the last 20 meters. The horizon is empty, the wind is sneakier, and tiny posture leaks don't get corrected until it's too late. If one of them draws the middle and the other gets pushed wide, you will see it on the lean, not the start. Wind next. Silesian nights can look still on the anemometer, while flags twitch at ground level. A faint tailwind amplifies starters. Each clean contact in the first 10 steps gets a free millimeter of distance. Dead still air magnifies relaxation. Any jaw clench or shoulder creep costs double. Don't panic about the number on the clock. Watch how it moves the men. If the camera shows shirts barely rippling, the closer's odds tick up. If you see hair and bibs dancing, starters cash in. Reaction is the most misunderstood stat on the sheet. Both men live in that 1/10 of a second territory where great and good are separated by a few thousandths. That difference barely matters at 10 meters and matters a ton at 40. A razor reaction can buy Kishane Thompson one extra step of cushion. A merely solid one from Noah Lyles is fine if his first 3 steps stay patient. Remember, he does not need to win step 1. He needs to own step 12. Call room rhythm and starter cadence matter more than fans realize. Long holds rattle jumpers, quick beeps rattle floaters. If there's a restart or a warning, favor the man who treats chaos like white noise. The one who looks annoyed usually pays a price in the next 10 steps. Now, why this night shapes the next 2 meets. Silesia isn't just bragging rights, it's currency for Zurich. The points are simple. Win big, you set yourself up for a center lane at the Diamond League final. Center lane there means cleaner sightlines, less turbulence, and one more rehearsal under championship lighting before Tokyo. Lose here, and you might be negotiating lane 2 or 8, trying to build confidence while staring at a lot of empty track. So as you watch, keep a short checklist in your head. Lane draw, who got the calm pocket? Wind behavior, flags versus the readout. Reaction composure, who treats the gun like routine, and that 60-meter gap we talked about. Stack those 4 and you'll know the outcome before the clock tells you. Silesia sets the lanes for Zurich, and Zurich sets the tone for the World Championships. The stopwatch is honest, but the setup decides how honest it can be. Here's the honest way this rematch breaks. Flamestart Thompson, he nails the first 3 steps, stacks shin angles like a textbook, and rips daylight by 40. If that gap rolls clean through 60, more than 400ths, you're watching a Jamaican lean by a whisker at the tape and a 9.8 low on the clock. That wins him the center lane in Zurich and flips the conversation to catch me if you can, all the way into the World Championships. Float and flip, Lyles. The drive looks patient, not panicked, shoulders stay level, and the posture rises right where the straight begins. If he's on the shoulder at 60, 200ths or less, his top end window opens, and the last 40 turns downhill. That's the boa constrictor version of Noah Lyles, the one that won Paris. He edges it by hundredths. Pockets prime real estate for Zurich, and walks into championship month as the man who closes when it counts. Dead heat drag race, neither gives an inch, the micro-tension stays out of their faces, and the separation never grows past a forearm. This is where relaxation wins. The jaw that stays loose and the knee lift that doesn't blink in the final 7 steps decide it by a blink inside a blink. If that happens, Zurich becomes the tiebreaker, and every preview show starts using the phrase coin flip. Chaos read, jumpy set, a twitch in the blocks, or a tiny wind shift that the anemometer barely notices. One man flinches, the other hesitates, and a third name steals the headline while they both stare at the clock. It happens. And when it does, Zurich lanes become a knife fight, and the World Championships inherit a 3-way story instead of a duel. So when the camera tilts to the straight, don't chase the numbers. Watch the 60-meter mark. If the gap favors the starter by a margin you can feel, Jamaica cashes in. If the closer is already there, let your eyes find his shoulders and wait for the lean. That's the tell. That's the race. And that's how one night in Silesia sets the lanes, the story, and the pressure everyone carries into Zurich and into the biggest stage of the year.